been the Perth Super Swim so far today. It's just been torrential this morning, and thankfully it's dried up just in time for the GTs to head out. This is Cam's Australian GT Championship. Carl Reindler joining me for this one. It's a 1 hour race. We've got an Italian professional star from Audi who will be starting on pole position. Marco Bononomi continuing Audi's pole position streak in this category. Carl, have you ever seen a day at the track like this? It's been unbelievable. This is how they'll line up.
Yeah, yesterday was similar, but row one we've got Marco Bononomi, Greg Taylor, Justin McMillan, third, Clark Quinn, fourth, Jono Webb, P5, Scott Taylor, James Konduras in P7, Nathan Anchun starting in the McLaren, P8, Ryle Harris, Andrew Taplin in 10th.
Yeah, and Taplin's in that car. So a lot of pros are choosing to start this session at the moment, which is going to mix things up, including John Martin in that brand new 911 GT3R. Stephen Richards is aboard the M6 at the moment. And it is going to be good watching some of the fast guys come through from the back. This is a 1 hour race, compulsory pit stops. It's a real mix of tyres at the moment. I had tried to see what they're all on. I'm guessing most of them wets at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say most of them wets. I had a good chat with the guys this morning, and they were saying, look, we don't mind if it's wet, we don't mind if it's dry. The worst possible situation if it's that half, you know, 50-50 conditions. And at the moment, it's exactly what they didn't want, which is great for us. It means it's going to be entertaining. There's going to be a bit of strategy that comes into play as we come around turn 7 at Barbagallo. Rolling start in this category.
And it's going to be Marco Bononomi to lead us to the green flag alongside Barton Moore. Glenwood and the Lambo in behind them as we go green. The first time the GTs have raced on this side of the country. And Bononomi closes the door down there at turn 1. Wood looks to the inside of Barton Moore. And Tunis, who started P8, going around the top, which is a place where you can find some grip. He's got James Konduras, the championship leader, next to him as they go side by side up through the S's. Oh, John Martin in the Porsche, going the long way, and Konduras falling back a few spots in the early stages.
It's tough for these guys. You don't get much of a chance to really assess the level of grip that's out there. So, especially the front guys. I mean, you want to be at the pointy end, but you're pioneering. You're going out there. You're judging the speed to take for these corners.
Jonathan Webb around the top.
It's a funny circuit like that. You can actually get away with going around the outside in wet conditions in some of these corners.
Glenwood trying to get over and cross Clark Quinn off, but he can't quite get it done, and Quinn's to the inside. Craig Baird is in the Mercedes. A couple of bona fide stars in this battle pack. We go on board with Nathan Antunis. Whoa.
Oh, it's slippery. We've got Peter Rouleau off in the Lamborghini, the local star.
And the new Porsche kept it off the fence.
Was lucky to keep it off the fence there.
It's the third time that car has been facing the wrong way this weekend. It's been a tough initiation for the Walkinshaw team.
Certainly has. He'll be readjusting his traction control right up to probably level 12.
Amongst other things in the cabin of that car. Marco Bononomi, though, has cut the perfect opening lap and is warming to these conditions. His first time ever racing over here in Perth. But you wouldn't believe it, looking at the way that he is just cruising at the moment. Let's have a look at the background. Now, did the Porsche, which went mid-corner.
There's no contact there, just, you can see the painted lines on the track. I'm almost, maybe there was a...
There's this big chunk of rubber in the middle of the circuit there from...
It's quite slippery.
Drifting. So, rubber and water, obviously not good bedfellows, but the good news is that car is okay. Peter Rouleau in the Lambo, trying to get the power down. That was a...
That's odd. It didn't look like there was any traction control at all. Minor damage done. He's in a safe position, so obviously not going to cause any safety cars where he is there.
Yeah, thankfully he got back to the pits actually, so he's done a really good job to get out of there.
Excellent.
So, wet weather running at the moment. A lot of standing water still. Sun is kind of out.
This track will dry very quick with 20 cars out there at the moment. The sun's out. There's no rain at the moment. They're already down to sub 62-second laps, so only a few seconds off what they qualified at yesterday. So give it another 4 or 5 laps. They'll be starting to think about putting some slick tyres on.
Now, it is a compulsory pit stop race, but the pit stop window doesn't open up until roughly halfway through. So, do you try and hang on until the window opens? You might not have that luxury. Here we go, side by side, Techno Autosport McLarens down the bottom of the hill, and Tunis to the inside of Jono Webb. Tight, but they sort it out. Webb prevails. Baird Dean's doing a good job here. He's up to 4th. Oh, and Tunis not to be denied. Just turns up the wick a little bit, and this time he's through on the team boss and teammate. Or is he?
Oh, 2 by 2 up through the S's. Wow,
Webb not taking no for an answer here is the Techno boss.
It's going to be some interesting conversations after the race, I think, with that one.
It's good clean racing, hard racing. Now it's Glenn Wood who's starting to struggle in the M Motorsport Lambo. He and Justin McMillan picked up the win at Clipsal. Here comes Webb under brakes down to turn 6. Wood sees he's coming and just leaves the door ajar. I'll tell you who's charging here is Craig Baird, setting the fastest sector so far in the STM Mercedes. Here he is closing in on Clark Quinn down the bottom of the hill.
What is it with Kiwis and being able to drive really good in wet conditions? Obviously, we know they get more wet weather over there, but...
It's amazing, isn't it? They just seem to adapt so quickly to these kind of conditions. There's Rullo, he's out of the pits, but he's come out in a bit of a firestorm at the moment, with all the big-name leaders trying to squeeze through. So the orange Lambo is going a lap down. Stephen Richards, speaking of Kiwi drivers, as now Largo has a spin coming onto the front straight. Exact same spot where we saw the Porsche go around. As to how it happened, oh, it just broke away so slowly.
Oh, I tell you what, he is not that lucky. He did make contact with the wall.
Yeah, that's almost came through the commentary box window down here. A bit of history's happened down to that part of the world, Carl.
Yeah, don't get me started about that. Let's not talk about that.
Here's the battle for 3rd. Now, Beardo's on an absolute rampage here. A few drivers are already trying to find pockets of water out there.
Just chatting with Beardo this morning, and Scott Taylor for that matter, and just saying how much easier this new Mercedes is to drive compared to the last one. It's so user-friendly. That's something they're trying to work on with the GT cars now, is just making them easier to drive. Still have to produce the... if we go to a replay, something happened at turn 6 down into the bowl.
Martin and Taplin. There you go. It's the first piece of contact for that brand new 911 GT3R. It's now got its first battle scars. Pretty light. But yeah, you're right. These gentlemen drivers that own these cars most of the time are loving the new generation GT3s, especially the Mercedes, because it's been designed to not be any faster, just be a bit more user-friendly. Battle for 3rd here. A couple of McLarens and a Mercedes. It's on. Beto hard on the brakes down the bottom of the hill, one of the hardest braking zones anywhere in the country, and he moves up to 3rd, and now he can set his sights on the pair of Audis up the road. Bononomi sits the fastest lap, that time by 1 minute flat. And Tunis to the inside of Glenn Wood. Nice move. These wet tyres are not going to last another 20 minutes to the pit stop window. They need rain.
No, they desperately need rain. I think you'll find these guys trying to search for the wet part of the track. There's going to be very distinct dry lines starting to happen. When you start to feel those wet tyres going off and it gets a little bit squirmy out there, you want to try and cool those tyres down. I think we famously saw Van Giz last year at Sydney Motorsport driving 2 wheels on the grass to try and cool the tyres down. I don't think we'll see that here at Barbagallo, but...
If anyone could do it, maybe John O'Webb. I mean, he was the team boss at Techno when SVG was doing it, so...
Saying that, we saw Scotty McLaughlin just before in qualifying, 2 wheels off on the... trying to find the grip, so you look where you can.
Steve McLaughlin, no relation to Scott, in the Jamak Pem Audi. He didn't get to cut any laps in testing recently when the team came over here, as he was unfortunately a bit ill. And he's in a battle here with Andrew Taplin. Taplin struggling to get the Lambo turned in. He's sharing that car with Dean Canto, so Dean Canto is going to be in that car at the end of the race. Not a bad guy to plug in.
Yeah, he's probably got his work cut out for him, I think, at the moment. Saying that, Dean was incredibly quick yesterday in that second qualifying session. Even though the conditions were the wettest it was of the 2 sessions, he actually was able to bump it up the grid inside the top 10 there. So Dean's the right guy to have in that car.
Oh, Ryle Harris getting beautiful drive on the inside. And the older model SLS AMG. It's amazing how outdated that car looks already. That's the car that won the 2013 Bathurst 12 Hour and then won the championship. Erebus prepared, driven by Ryle Harris today. He'll hand that over to Scott Hookey, who is the AM driver that he's sharing with at the moment. That was a nice move under brakes.
Yeah, Ryle's doing a great job. He hasn't actually done many laps in this vehicle. I had a good chat with Ryle this morning, and he didn't get a test day in or anything. He's come in completely blind, and obviously yesterday, one practice session for these guys and straight into qualifying.
He's a talent, Ryle, that's for sure. Sponsored by his own Exotic Track Days business this weekend. As the battle now for fourth is all between these amazing twin-turbo V8 McLarens. The first one is the Sticks car, Clark Quinn. Then Jonathan Webb is sideways at Kolb. Oh, he gathered it back up, but that was a bit of a slide. And then behind them, Anchinas, former Red Bull junior driver. And look at that, Quinn looking for any wet patch of racetrack that he can find at the moment. Anchinas doing the same. And you can definitely see that dry line that Carl was referring to starting to come through now. So this is going to be a big question mark as to what you do with your tyres.
As anticipated, most of the drivers going wide on all the straights to try and find some dampness, if you like, trying to cool those tyres down, make them last a little bit longer. Would be surprised to see a couple of these guys taking a bit of a punt on strategy and going in for slicks pretty soon.
That is that patch of rubber that I was talking about in the middle of the racetrack right there. McLaughlin finding it and buzzing the rear tyres. He's got Tony Walls for company and the Objective McElrea prepared McLaren. They're cool, all these McLarens. We've got 5 in this race from 3 different teams. So cool, and it's great to see them on this side of the country for the first time. And the Aston Martin as well, the only V12 in the field.
We've got it covered. 6s, 8s, 10s and 12s.
How cool is that? Turbos, natural aspirated, bit of a mix across the board. Oh, a bit of defensive stuff there from Tony Walls and the Objective McLaren.
It's funny to see drivers going so defensive this early in a 1 hour race. The argument would be that you're trying to cool the tyres down, but if you're presented in front of the stewards, that's what I'd be arguing. You can see coming down the hill into turn 7, there's a really distinct dry line starting to happen there. The times, we've got Marco Bononomi into the 59-second bracket, only a couple of seconds off the dry pace from yesterday. I'd imagine now would be a great time to put slick tyres on. The engineers have got their work cut out for them, trying to quantify whether they're going to make the time up. It's a pretty short pit lane here, but it does take some time to swap those tyres over.
And how much water is coming off this car? Not enough to keep those tyres cool would be the answer. There's Bononomi filling in for Christopher Mees, the reigning champ, who's off racing at Brands Hatch this weekend. And as a result, the Audi Customer Sports team have decided to essentially plug in one of their superstars in Bononomi, who's doing a beautiful job out the front at the moment.
It's a great program that Audi run globally. The fact that they can tap into these, this network of drivers, these superstars, if you like, to come out as and join the customers.
I think you need to send your resume in, Carlos.
Would be nice.
That'd be a very sweet gig indeed. Be able to fly around the world racing beautiful R8 LMS Audis. This battle, though, is a real cracker at the moment. Ryle Harris is catching him as well in the older model car. In traffic, it's Ash Samadi getting lapped here by Bononomi now. He's turning up the wick in car number 1, the Jamek Pem Audi. Claimed pole position yesterday on debut in the series. They made the right strategy call, getting him in the car for that first session. And there's Bart Moore, he's chasing him. And on that lap, he was 2 seconds quicker. So the traffic for Bononomi costing him, and this man was even quicker still.
Fastest man on track at the moment, Craig Baird.
How often have we said that over the years? He is a jet, and he is chasing Barton Moore down right now. He won a race, I think the first race at the Australian Grand Prix. The first race that this new model Mercedes won anywhere in the world, as a matter of fact, which is great to see. And now he's trying to repeat that success, or squirming under brakes. He's going to hand this car over to Scott Taylor. So it's going to be Taylor versus Taylor, Greg Taylor, which will be in the other Audi, is McLaughlin up the inside of Walls, and then Jeff Emery, who's going to hop into Bononomi's car. I'd probably be backing Emery in that fight. He is a very decent AM driver, in inverted commas. Very talented off the back of a Carrera Cup win the other day in the Pro-Am. Trying to double up. Different German car, different side of the country. Same format, Pro-Am racing. Maybe Emery will be able to get the job done later today, but that is still 46 minutes away from being able to answer that question. And there will be 2 pros, Carl, racing at the checkered flag, and it'll be Dean Canto, who's going to hop into the Taplin Lamborghini, and Marcus Marshall, who's going to take over from James Konduras.
Bit of a brave move putting the AM driver in at the start of the race, especially a race like this in those treacherous conditions, but the risk might pay off.
2 words, safety car is
yes.
what it'll all come down to later on. McLaughlin has a bit of a good... Oh, wow, Baird has caught Barton Moore. That didn't take long.
Looks like Barton's really struggling with those tyres at the moment.
Bart's going defensive, / looking for water on the inside of the track.
Trouble is now he's in the slippery part of the track for the corner.
The over-under is really difficult today because of that little skinny strip of rubber up the inside of the track. Here goes Baird at turn 1, too far back. We called the Audi a stealth fighter jet yesterday in that really cool livery, just matte black. Looks so mean, this car. Greg Taylor back again in this car with this combination now with Barton Moore off the back of their success at the trophy category, which is the kind of feeder category now, I guess, for the older model cars to go and race in. Those 2 combined at Sandown with some success. He's got a hard charging Craig Baird. Baird taking some really unusual lines here.
Just searching for grip. The track's going to be changing every single lap, so you've got to be adaptable. You've got to think on your feet. You're just trying to find where the grip is, and this may just be that safety car that you just spoke about.
Yes, it's Ricky Capo.
I spoke to Ricky this morning. They don't have traction control in this car. For whatever reason, they don't have the software from Europe, from Germany. They haven't had it all year. So in these really tricky wet conditions, to not have traction control, saying that, he doesn't know what he's missing out on because he's never actually had it this year. So unfortunately for him...
Well, it probably wasn't a traction control thing that spun him out down there at turn 1, looking at the way that he's gone in.
No, if it's happened at the entry, it's got nothing to do with traction control, unfortunately.
I think I just saw a safety car board. As a matter of fact, I did. There you go. Safety car is out. Bononomi loses his 6-second lead back to these 2. And this is exactly the kind of thing that Dean Canto and Marcus Marshall, who are in the pits waiting for their stint to begin, wanted to see. They want to see the field get bunched up. They want to have a chance at getting into the car later in the session when the window does open. By the way, that window is a good 10 minutes away from opening.
These guys are pushing so hard out of the gate, and I'm surprised because there's every chance of a safety car happening in these conditions, and you're just going to wreck your tyres. And now it's bunched back up. You just got to wonder who's got good tyres left and who doesn't. I mean, maybe Jono Webb, for example, might have just been taking it a little bit easier on his tyres. Didn't look like he was leaning on it, pushing it hard. Not as many moments. But
here we go. Pit stop starting. Let's go down to the pits with Kylie.
Jeff Emery, crucial time now, isn't it? Things have just really panned out in a way you probably didn't expect.
Yeah, well, I guess the lead that Marco just got has just washed away now. We've obviously got a safety car now, so it's going to get busy.
And how do you rate Marco's performance? He's just waltzed straight in and straight onto the pace.
Mate, his performance has been second to none out there today. I mean, he hasn't done any laps around here this weekend. He's put it on pole in the first qualifier. So, I mean, how good are these guys? He's brilliant.
We'll let you get ready.
Okay, thank you.
Nice work, Kylie, and happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks, Jeff.
21 years young. Our intrepid pit lane reporter is going to be very busy down there, I feel like, for the next 42 minutes, because pit stop's already starting, and that is outside of the compulsory pit stop window. So that car of Jono Webb's will have to come back in for the driver change later. Oh, here we go, got a bit of Van Gisbergen action out there as Craig Baird tries to cool the tyres, and obviously these guys are now going to roll the dice strategy-wise. Yeah,
brave move, but I think it's going to pay off. He's going to be at the rear of the grid, still on the, I'd imagine, yeah, he'll still be on the lead lap.
Yep.
And we'll be seeing Jono storming through, no doubt. The fact that they're into the 59-second bracket, the track's getting drier and drier. The guys down there would have been looking at the Bureau of Meteorology page, looking to see if there's any rain on its way.
Oh, they've lost the lead lap, but the leader is pitting. So Marco Bononomi wants the slicks now. This is really going to mix things up. They just missed out on getting Jono Webb out on the lead lap, which is really vital.
So he's not only he's gonna have to unlap himself, unless there's others that come in.
Now, where does he slot in here? Everyone's kind of awkwardly swerving side to side, trying to either find some cooler parts of the racetrack or even the grass. So safety car is out, and Bononomi in the pits. They can't do their driver change yet. Well, they can, but they'll have to come back in for one later.
That's going to be a big drive from Jono Webb to not only pass the cars in front of him, to unlap himself, but then catch the whole field. I wouldn't be surprised to see more cars coming in for slick tyres, but it only takes one person to stay out on wets to kind of ruin that momentum.
You watch it rain again. It's just been one of those days. Yeah, get out of here. Go. Stay on the lead lap.
Oh, these guys are sorted. Yeah. They haven't lost the lead lap. They're on a slick tyre. And
they have absolutely nailed that. Just got to be careful, obviously, with the tractor down there in turn 1, but the safety car is all the way down at turn 6. So Barton Moore and Craig Baird are now the leaders, but that is a very dry racetrack for wet weather tyres.
Marco Bononomi's going to have the luxury of a full lap now to get those slick tyres up to temperature.
Yeah, and when he gets there, he's going to go ripping through this field. So it was bad news for Jonathan Webb, wasn't it? He is 3 cars away from unlapping himself.
These guys would be crazy not to come in right now. The safety car lights are still on. There's going to be at least one more lap of running. Me in their shoes, I know it's easy for me to say on this side of the fence, but I would be pitting in right now. No.
Oh, no for Moore. No for Baird. How about Clark Quinn? No, and Tunis in.
Yep, wise move.
So he's going to roll the dice. We go on board, looking over the shoulder of the young man from Sydney as he swings through that tight pit entrance. I remember Tony Longhurst barreling through there. And
I remember that clearly. I think I was here that day.
Yeah. All right, while this is all happening, the graphics that we're going to hopefully explain how this is all going to work out. Let's just quickly describe to you the rules of the game here, I suppose is the way of putting it. The driver rankings, let's start with that. There are 6 levels of pro and 6 levels of amateur rankings. Pro 1 is the highest you can be, so if Carl Reindler was driving, he'd be a Pro 1. If I was driving, I'd be an AM6, because I'm a nobody, I have no idea what I'm doing. No driver ranked Pro 3 or above, so Carl, you wouldn't be allowed to drive by yourself. And no team can have a couple of Carls in their car. It would have to be me and you combined together. You have to have 1 pro and 1 amateur. That's putting it the easy way. Now, the pit stop window opens up in the 24th minute and closes in the 36th minute. The pit stop times are a combination of your grip positions and your driver rankings. So the longest possible stop you can have is well and truly over 2 minutes, with the shortest possible stop, very short, just 40 seconds. But here's the thing, no driver can do more than 55% of the race. So it actually shrinks that window up to be only about 27 to minute 32. It's all a bit confusing. It's going to be a flurry of pit stops again starting shortly. And I think I saw the safety car lights out, which means these guys are going to have to get a serious wriggle on if they want to catch the pack.
They've got to get out of the pit lane very quickly. There was a slow pit stop then.
They left it a lap late. If they just come in a lap ago, they could have been in there with Bononomi.
They've missed the boat. It's going to be touch and go. They're going to be joining right in the middle of that field.
Oh boy, here we go. Barton Moore.
Cold, slick tyres.
Gets us to the green flag. Oh, he's missed. He's gone down the lap as well. So the McLarens have made an absolute meal of the pit stops here.
And he's going to have to wait as well. There'll be a red flag at the end of pit lane. That's devastating for Nathan Antunes and Elliot Barber.
And there's Capo back on the track. He's also down a lap now because of this. Actually, a few. Confusion reigns in the Australian GT Championship. I tell you what, Melbourne Performance Centre have absolutely nailed it, though, for their driver, Marco Bononomi, because he is still on the lead lap amidst all this. And he's on slick tyres. These guys all still on wets. And it is going to be horrible driving conditions for these guys for the next, 10 minutes until that pit stop window opens. It's going to be tough work. Barton Moore's done a really good job on the restart to hang on to that lead. My, oh my.
If you did put slick tyres on, you'd be pushing that pit window right until the end. Trying to make the most of that aggressive strategy move.
Yeah, that'll be the key from here. So get all the way until the maximum driver time. As Walls looks to the inside of the Jamak Pem Audi. He's in a Jamak Pem sandwich at the moment. Here comes Bononomi. Gets great drive out of turn 1, but there is no room on the inside of the S's, and he has to be patient for another couple corners. Can he rail it around the high side at turn 4? He's thinking about it, and the lead battle is on. Here comes Craig Baird on the brakes. New leader.
The car's looking pretty good, considering the tyres are still the wet tyres and the track is almost dry. It wasn't moving around like you'd expect it to, so he's obviously looked after those tyres. We did see Craig Baird dropping a wheel on the grass to cool those tyres off, so Craig doing a great job of just managing his car, managing the tyres and the race accordingly.
John Martin from downtown in the Porsche. I remember he spun on the first lap, so he's passed all those cars on screen. He's doing a great job. Oh, Barton Moore is really starting to struggle here. So Webb unlapping himself now on the slick tyre. This is his chance to get around the leader and get back on the lead lap. Well, there's damage to the back of Moore's car as well. Was there contact at any point as Webb goes around the top? That's the difference between slicks and wets. He's back on the lead lap. That's vital.
The question is now, how much quicker is it going to be on a slick tyre? If he's only in the car for another 15 minutes, let's say, for argument's sake, is that enough time to make up what he lost in that pit stop? And I'm not sure if it is.
Definitely maybe.
Definitely maybe.
That's the answer to that one. So really, the earliest possible time you can come in is the 27-minute mark of the race.
You'll find every other person out there will be pitting at that 27-minute mark.
Because they just cannot do a single lap more on these tyres. They have to.
Poor Nathan Antunes, he's got his work cut out for him. He's on a grippier tyre now, but he's battling to get through all these cars. He's got a lot of traffic there.
Whoa, Jonathan Webb just went 3 seconds quicker than anyone, and now they're all in. This is still before the pit stop window. Maybod's just gone 27 minutes now. So, that's as close as you can cut it.
I wonder what the exact rule is, if they've got to be right on, like in the pit lane when it happens, or...
I think it's pit exit.
Pit exit, okay, yeah. There you go. So obviously these guys will throw the second driver in, put some slick tyres on it, and...
oh, look at the heat coming out of these things. Brakes and these wets for Pirelli have absolutely copped a hiding today. They are just melted. You can see Taplin's getting taken away. His look very second-hand. Largo's in the pits, and now so Webb's back on the lead lap. Baird's still the leader, but here comes Bononomi. Whoa, he is storming through the field. He's back up to P4 already on the slick tyre. That time through, he just went 56.2, and he's 3 to 4 seconds quicker than the leader. He's going to be in the lead of this race in the next 2 laps. So this has worked out nicely, but he needs to pit again.
Jono Webb has done a 56 flat, so he's the fastest man out there. He'll just be, you know, head down, focused on trying to punch out some really quick lap times. I'd imagine Jono will stay in the car right until the end of that pit window. Yep. And then do that pit stop right at the end there.
So the latest he can come in is actually 33 minutes because you're not allowed to go longer than 55% of the driver time in the race. So the window is open and the drivers are in. Try and get that. So Webb's in now. So he's going to hand this car over to Matt Kingsley. So he's decided to not try and push the barrow any further. Bononomi's still going around, so Bononomi's clawed his way back up to second. All these cars have come out right in front of the Italian star. He ducks to the inside of one. He goes around the outside of another. Oh, he's brave. This boy from Italy can drive, and he's pushing this Audi to the limits.
Bononomi's only 3 seconds behind Craig Baird, so phenomenal drive.
He's charging here, Carl. He could just about get Baird on this lap here. Baird's a little bit further up the road in this very corner. Champion team, Melbourne Performance Centre, the Jamak Pem Audi, have nailed that pit stop to throw the slick tyre on it in that safety car period. And Baird doesn't want to come in yet and hand it over to Scott Taylor. He'd like to try and get as close to that 33-minute mark and get another few laps in. But the problem is the tyres are done. In comes Craig Baird. But remember, that Audi still needs to pit again. That's the important thing here. Barton Moore comes in. He'll hand that car over to Greg Taylor. Here goes Webb. He's still fighting through on the left-hand side. That car surely has been handed over to Matt Kingsley in that pit stop.
So to give you an idea of pace, the slick tyre at the moment is actually 3 seconds a lap faster than the wet tyre. So anyone that's still out there on wets, and I think every single person has pitted so far. Not quite. Ryle Harris is still out there.
So remember how we were telling you about the compulsory pit stop times? Because the group positions of Bononomi starting on pole position and their driver ratings, their pit stops can be 26 seconds longer than Craig Baird's. So Baird will get a lot of time back here, but it's going to be a fight between Jeff Emery, who'll be a good 25 seconds back behind Scott Taylor. So Taylor's in, Bairdo out. Whoa, it's busy down in turn 7. So in comes, is that the Techno McLaren coming in for a third pit stop?
Did look like it.
It surely was. Meanwhile, Largo, here it is. So this is Matt Kingsley coming back into the pits.
They might have problems.
That's strange. It looks like we're ready to send the V8 powered Mercedes back out. Driver change happening in the background. So Webb came in, did a second stop without handing the car over. Did they not do their compulsory driver change? What has happened down here at Techno? I think they got themselves in a pickle when they fell off the lead lap. They were trying to remedy it. They were the fastest car on the racetrack. So Webb is now out of the car. They made 2 pit stops before actually coming in to do their driver change. So this is their 3rd pit stop of the race. Who would have thought that you'd be doing a 3-stop strategy today? Techno loves the 3-stop strategy in V8 supercars.
And it's quite unusual, and it's unfortunately going to put them a lap or 2 down. 222 is back on track with Craig Baird out of the car. Scott Taylor in the car now. Cold slick tyres on a still slightly damp track.
Elliot Barber, seriously brave move around the outside at turn 4. You don't see that every day here.
No, that's really wide.
Oof, man, you got it done. It's bravery, all right.
For a lot of these guys, it's probably their first running on a slick tyre in the dry. It's been rain for most of their sessions so far.
Here it is. Oh, the closing speed. And then it's a lot of dirt, marbles, and...
How's the wheel work? Elliot Barber just drifting that thing through the sweeper there.
I think he's a little bit fired up this weekend, Barber, judging by that move. He's got 0 patience at the moment. And that will see them at the moment move up ahead, I believe. So Bononomi's still leading the race, but still needs to pit. I wonder if maybe they didn't serve out their entire allotted time that they needed to in the pit stop. I'm at a loss. Anyway.
I'm at a loss, and unfortunately they are a couple of laps down now.
Here is Marcus Marshall, who's taken over. And Dean Canto. So these two are in a race here. The Superbarn Porsche leading the points with Marcus Marshall at the wheel. Dean Canto in behind him. And then Clark Quinn, who's driving a solo effort this weekend. Or was that Scott Taylor that they're chasing? It is. Wow, they've already caught Scotty Taylor. Taylor's wide through turn 6, and Marshall cruises to the inside with Canto right in behind him. Ryle Harris gets out of the Mercedes in the pits. And Bononomi's out and has handed that car over to Jeff Emery, and here comes the chasing pack. So these guys are going to come back onto the front straight. Marshall trying to get some heat into the tyres. Where's the Audi? Has the Audi got out in front of these guys with Jeff Emery? We should see it on this shot. So that was him coming in for Bononomi. So that Bononomi's in the stop now, doing their driver change. Confusion reigns. Let's get back down to the pits with Kylie.
Yes, guys, a little chat to Jono Webb, and Jono, a little bit of confusion there for you, one of those extra stops.
Yeah, look, it wasn't ideal. For us, the minute there's a safety car before our driver change, it'd be nice about it, our day's done anyway. So thought, well, we'll stop, we'll put some tyres on and just wait and see how things pan out. And look, I didn't see the train. Obviously, they only just came out as I came out. And unfortunately, around here, they spent a lot of money on the place, but I haven't got any lights. I got a little guy with a paddle, and I didn't see the man with the paddle stand up with the drive-through.
Happens to the best of us.
So it's a drive-through. That explains it. So, yeah, I tell you what, Antunis, well, not to get caught out by that. You said it when you were watching, that he noted that he wasn't allowed to exit the pits yet.
Just thinking back to that moment where he did exit the pits and try to rejoin in the middle of it. I was yes, it's always a tricky situation, and when you do come out of the pits right in the thick of things, and yeah, he should have stopped at the end, which is why he got that drive-through penalty. So that's put them out of contention, you would say. A couple of laps down, it's going to be pretty hard to make up that time. And Bononomi, well, not Bononomi anymore, but they're just waiting and waiting. Those it's a long pit stop, 139 seconds.
So adding to the confusion here is the fact that you go multiple laps up before you pit stop and then can end up a lap off the lead lap during your pit stop. Let's see where he comes out. The leader's going to be going past now.
Jeff Emery taking off. Great takeoff.
But he falls in behind these guys, so this could be the lead pack when it all washes out. McLaughlin, Tony Quinn, Tony Walls, the top three, and they have all completed their pit stop. Nathan Morecambe, 20 seconds off the lead. Winner of the Bathurst 6 Hour has completed his pit stop. McMillan is now in the Lamborghini, and how about this for a battle pack? They're all queued up behind Ash Samadi with Roger Largo, Aaron Tebb now in the Porsche. And that'll be Greg Taylor trying to fight his way through. They started on the front row, so they had a very long pit stop. Wow, Mercedes versus Lamborghini versus Porsche versus Audi.
Oh,
and a hip
that was
and
a
shoulder.
brave move.
Max Twig. 5 different kinds of cars, and 2 of them traded carbon fibre. Fairly expensive carbon fibre down there at turn 6, but they got away with it. Meanwhile, the hot shots further up the field. This is Canto, who's trying to rip through the field. Marshall's getting away from him here. He wants to try and stick with Marcus Marshall because they're the only 2 pro-rated drivers that are still on the track after those pit stops have happened. So Steve McLaughlin for the Jamac Pem team. The second of the Jamac Pem Audis is leading the way. He's got a giant 12-second lead over Tony Quinn's Aston Martin. That's a fair old lead.
It's a big lead. Doing mid 57-second lap times. The pro drivers, Marcus Marshall, Dean Canto, as we go back to a replay of that incident down into turn 6, the bowl.
Yeah, Twig. Oh, that is close.
He was still on the wet part of the track. You just can't pull the car up when you're 2 wheels on the wet part of the track. I don't think that there wouldn't be any damage sustained to either of those vehicles. Nothing that's going to cause any performance issues in the car.
I don't think Greg Taylor was expecting him to be there when he turned in.
No.
Here is the Aston Martin of Tony Quinn, and he is having a go. Paddle shifting through the gearbox that operates this V12 in the Aston Martin. And he's trying to close the gap to Steve McLaughlin. And currently that gap is 10.9 seconds. Here's Emery. He's come out of the pits down in potentially 10th, but is now clawing his way back up. And for Baird, who handed his car over to Scott Taylor, they're back down in 10th already. So Emery's already caught and passed Taylor. That's a huge effort. Down through the bottom, turn 7. Whoa, he hazes the rear tyres. With 500 odd horsepower there, laying big strips out of turn 7. He's in a pretty good battle here with McMillan. A couple of AM-ranked drivers. Scott Hookey in behind them, driving the car that Roel Harris was in earlier. Here is Taylor, fighting with Aaron Tebb in the Porsche. A couple of brand new cars in 2016. They're now in the hands of the AM driver. The Pro Boys had at it for the opening half of the race. They're all going to queue up behind Hookey here, who's still getting to grips with that Erebus prepared Mercedes. Emery's got around McMillan, so that's for P8. He's going to try and chase down Clark Quinn now. That's never easy. You know what? Marcus Marshall could win this.
I was just trying to do the maths on it,
yeah.
and the pace that Marcus has at the moment, he's just got into the 55-second bracket, the fastest man on the circuit. Dean Canto not far off those times, probably half a second off Marcus Marshall. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Maybe a bit of tyre degradation is going to come into play, but he's got about 20 seconds that he's going to have to bridge to McLaughlin there.
A safe safety car would just about seal the deal for Marshall. It'll take that 18 seconds gap away. But I reckon he could just about do this anyway. He and Dean Canto. Here he is in the Superbarn Porsche, cruising through to P4. Tony Walls doesn't even argue the point. Marcus Marshall, former champ car driver, on a charge. As he goes up and over the hill, he's chasing down Nathan Morecambe, the 6-hour winner, who won in a BMW. And they are leading this championship at the moment. He and James Konduras just takes that curb at the exit. Let's compare the lap times. So McLaughlin, the leader, 58.2. Marshall, 56.7. He takes another 2 seconds out on that lap. For a second and a half at least. Is it going to be enough though? We could get another 20 laps of racing here. At that rate, you'd say he's going to catch him. Wow. Oh, sideways! Catch it!
Oh, that is a huge moment.
Keep it off the track. Oh, no! Wow, well, there goes your 20
He is
seconds.
so lucky to get away with that. That is not a place you want to have a moment like that. It's well over 200 kilometres an hour, 5th gear in these cars.
Well, now it's Dean Canto's race to win.
Maybe just pushing a little bit too hard there. It's not often you, often you see a big moment like that from one of the pro drivers in a car like this. It's got the stability, the traction control, it's got the ABS.
It's got aero. Man, what a wild moment this was. Check this out. The Superbarn Audi, mid-corner through turn 5, loses it early, nearly caught it, overcorrects it.
Once you're on the grass, you're a passenger. He's cleaned up the coat tyre, braking marker there. And I tell you what, here's so low.
Here we go.
How close was it for Elliot Barber here? Not that close, but too close for my liking.
Another second and a half, and that could have been an absolute catastrophe. Oh. Tony Walls did a really good job to move out of the way early. Ended up in the old pit lane from the 70s.
And he's just in the fastest first sector.
He's not giving up.
He's water off a duck's
boy.
back. He's forgotten about his moment at the top of the hill there, and he's just focused on trying to bridge that gap that he's now lost.
He had to lose through the centre chicane in practice this year at Clipsal and got away with it. Not many get away with a spin through the centre chicane without hitting anything. He managed to do it. He put it up on Facebook this week. Oh, no, this time it's Taylor. Oh, Swigger's backed it off into the sand, and that could be safety car.
He might be able to get it going. It's a bit of a process in these cars to find neutral, grab reverse, all that sort of stuff. It's not a simple matter of just putting it into gear. But he's got it going again. This one, however, we spoke about this yesterday, the sand traps here. They're not gravel traps, it's a sand trap, and it is so deep. Once you've dropped your rear axle in there, there's not a great deal you can do. He's in a pretty vulnerable position. Let's see what happened. Greg Taylor. Yeah.
Wow. All yours, Carl.
My gut feeling says Greg Taylor probably shouldn't have been there. You know, you turn in from so far back into that corner.
Still no safety car, by the way. As soon as I say that, there it goes.
Safety car boards are out.
Well, you are the DSO of sorts, I guess, for Cam's Geico Formula 4. You've had to make these decisions in the past. You're upstairs right now in the hot seat. What do you do?
Look, from my point of view, you typically want to look at all the different angles. You want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. You want to have some high degree of due diligence, if you like. You want to make sure that the decision you make is the right one. Quite often, as we know in racing, you know, it's a 60-40 thing. It's definitely someone else's fault more than someone else's. Again, trusting my gut feeling, the footage that I've seen so far, I would say Greg Taylor probably was a bit ambitious, poking his nose in down into turn 6 there, particularly when you're turning in from so far back in these GT cars especially. So I think
during an election campaign, that was a very nice political answer, but I'll cut the chase for you. That was Carl saying potentially Taylor's fault.
Taylor's fault.
With a smile on his face.
Twig, the innocent victim there.
And stuck. So safety car comes out, which is great news for Marshall, because that's exactly what he wanted to see.
Saying that, Canto's got a lot of pace. Nathan Morecambe has been incredibly fast as well, doing low 56-second lap times. So it's still anyone's race at this stage. We've got 17 minutes left in the race. good chance to just cool the cars off, cool the tyres off a little bit.
So, has the safety car picked up the wrong car here? I can't see. Oh no, there it is. It's just behind. Yeah, good. So good news. There is our race leader, the Jamac Pam Audi. Stricken twig car. Today's sand traps are brought to you by BMW. Z4 and the M6 variety caught out in the sand in this race. And 2 safety cars courtesy of 2 stricken Beamers. And the Lexus safety car leading the field. So there will be 1 lapper in between first and second. So poor Ricky Capo is going to be looking in the mirror. You know, another strange problem this weekend that a lot of teams are dealing with, including Ricky Capo, they only have 2 sets of wheels, let alone how many sets of tyres they've got. They've only got 2 sets of wheels. So you'd think that you'd put 1 set of wets on 1 set of wheels and then dries on the other. You've got no spare tyres then outside of that for this race. So if Capo was to get a puncture or something, he's done. So it's another issue to think about this weekend for a lot of these teams.
Definitely. I mean, the tyres in this category will last the distance. They don't fall off like we see in other categories. They, you know, these tyres have been renowned. You know, they've got a great reputation for lasting hours and hours on a grippy surface. Barbagallo is a little bit of a different story. This circuit is probably the highest tyre degradation circuit that we go to. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the lap times falling off a little bit. And they will get that BMW going again, assuming he can get it fired up.
Kylie, down to you.
James Konduras, yourself and Marcus championship leaders, but geez, it's all been happening for you guys today.
Yeah, the weather got us a bit, obviously, at the start of the race, but yeah, Marcus had a little spin there, which is disappointing, but and I'm sure Marcus will be very disappointed, but he's doing a very good job time-wise, so I'm sure he can make it back.
Yeah, the safety car has kind of helped you out there.
Yeah, the safety car has helped us out, and hopefully we can get back up to that 3rd or 4th position where I think he was running at the time.
Yeah, so for the championship in mind, what do you guys need to do?
Look, we spoke about it before the race, and we said we just need to finish. We need to defend the lead, don't do anything silly, and the conditions, you know, today are that you do exactly that. So anyway, we'll see how we go.
Maybe Marcus didn't get the memo. He seems to be going for it.
Yeah, no, Marcus, yeah, possibly. I think also that he might have a bit of a tyre pressure problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Too high, too low?
Subtle.
Subtle, yes. I wonder what's going to happen there with that car. It'll restart here down in P8, Marcus Marshall. Then we're going to get 1 more lap behind the safety car. Marcus' first race back here in 2001 in Formula Ford in a class that had Will Power, Will Davison, and also Jamie Whincup. And there's the clouds. That's sort of the direction they come from on a day like today from the southwest.
It's the story of the weekend so far. It's just been on and off all day. Yesterday, today as well. It could be an exciting end to the race with 13 and a half minutes to go. If the rain came now, what would you do? Would you try and knuckle it out with on the slick tyres? We've all been there before. Slick tyre and a wet track, not much fun, but you could be 10 seconds off the pace in that situation. So I think you'll find these guys, if it does rain, we'll be going back to a wet tyre. We'll find out if it happens.
The second of the Jamac Pem Audis will lead us back here with Steve McLaughlin, solo driver. The car right behind him, Ricky Capo, that's a lap car. Tony Quinn is second in the race, but 3rd on the racetrack in terms of track position. It's clear in that direction, and it looks like all kinds of hell behind us from where we're looking down there, because lots of cloud. Nathan Morecambe, he'll start a few positions back from them, because Taylor has dropped back 1 or 2 spots, so he's another lap car. Oh, this is going to be very interesting on the restart. Watch for Dean Canto. He is in the yellow and black Lamborghini, and he is going to come flying through this field 10 years after he won his first V8 race. Lots of rain in the area on the radar. There is a chance that we'll see another sprinkle in the 12 and a half minutes that remain in this race. Steve McLaughlin did not want to see that safety car, and he is going to lead us back. The guy that is second in this race is the Aston Martin, who looks to be 3rd there. So just to remember, the BMW that is second is a lap or 2 down. McLaughlin needs to get a good restart, try and gap those guys, but you'd have to say he's going to be a sitting duck to the pros in about 3 laps as the green waves again at Barbagallo. Whoa. Taylor's also a couple laps out of sequence here. He's got Morecambe in behind him. then Elliot Barber, then Canto. So Barber also off the lead lap. As a result of all those pit stops happening, we missed that one. So not too sure what happened to Barber to go down a lap. That they pitted twice, of course, with the original pit stop. It was so long ago.
Safety car. They had quite a long pit stop, and it unfortunately meant they dropped a lap. Spoke to Dean Canto this morning, and he was quietly confident. He was feeling pretty good about things. He did let me know that he was going to be second up in the lineup in the race. That car looks hooked up at the moment. He's driving it well. He's one of only a couple of pros at the pointy end of the grid.
Oh, Barber.
At the moment, I would just be sitting back and just waiting.
Oh, man, these cars don't like the curbs. Wow, that's aggressive.
You don't want to get involved in someone else's scrap in this situation.
How about the orange McLaren surrounding Canto in that little Lambo at the moment? Seriously busy behind the wheel. Signed up again with the Barbagallo entry, but it'll be with Mark Winterbottom this time at Bathurst. He is a serious shot at the Endurance Championship when that gets started in September, but right now he is focusing on passing these McLarens. They're in his way and he needs them gone. Oh, Barber made a mistake, then dropped a wheel at the exit over that big curve at turn 5. Cost him some speed. Here comes Marshall. He's in this, up the inside of Clark Quinn. He's a demon driver today, isn't he? Marcus Marshall. He's inspired. Oh, this is heating up. This is getting really busy.
I think Marcus Marshall has probably got the pace on Canto at the moment. But it only takes another spin like that to ruin your chances.
Plus that tyre pressure issue potentially as well that we heard from James Kanduris. Trying to get a good haul of points to continue their championship charge. To be honest, none of the guys around them are really in the championship chase at the moment. Maybe Clark Quinn, the guy behind them, but apart from that, it's all looking okay in terms of their championship. They're ahead of Largo, they're ahead of some other big names. Oh, Emery that time getting a bit of a bounce on through turn 5.
Yeah, the GT cars typically can't use the curbs like the V8 supercars can. I was talking to a couple of the drivers this morning. The exit of that very fast turn 5 corner, they really struggle. It can put a lot of load on the tyres, increase the chances of punctures. So we see Canto trying to go around the outside. He just doesn't have the straight line speed that the McLaren does. And that is one of the biggest stops that we go to in the country, down the hill into turn 7. So even with all the ABS, all the aids, just doesn't have enough to get past.
Oh, and that's not going to work. Oh, got away with it. Largo avoiding contact with Emery, and I thought he was absolutely going to spear that car then. And wow, Canto's got through on Morecambe. Good move, aggressive, had to be. Gee, this is working out for McLaughlin. He's 1.8 seconds up the road from Tony Quinn. Canto's actually 3rd in the race here. Oh, nobody runs wide at turn 5 and gives it back. And Marshall goes through.
Marshall through.
This is so unpredictable. A lot of traffic ahead of them before they can get up to where Tony Quinn is as well.
So the battle at the moment is for P2. Those 3 drivers, Nathan Morecambe. So for P3, Nathan Morecambe, Dean Canto, Marcus Marshall, they're all roughly within a couple of tenths of a second of each other, which is great news for Steve McLaughlin, because he's just driving off into the distance at the moment.
This is a multi-million-dollar street fight in the GTs. They're brawling for the last spot on the podium in the first race, and Emery wants a part of this. He tries to go the top side through turn 1. Gee, good racing. Oh, a bit of curb use at turn 3, and they get unsettled. Largo's in on this with Quinn. Canto back down to P5 now. This is the corner which is catching him out so far. That time nobody runs wide. Wonder if Canto's got the tyre pressures wrong in this car as well. Really hard to know what pressures you need in a dry and wet race. Oh, and is that raindrops on the lens down there in turn 6?
Just had a quick look outside. The wind has picked up, which is usually a telltale sign that rain is on the way. You can see the clouds in the background there. Would be a great end to the race with a couple of minutes to go, a bit of rain.
Who knows? Here's Morecambe to the inside of Taylor, who is a lap car. Further back, they're still brawling, but Morecambe's done enough to push up now into P3. Good news for his championship charge. Aaron Tebb in the Porsche, going with Jeff Emery. McLaren's, Audis, Lambos. Porsches and an Audi out the front from an Aston Martin. It's a real mix of the marks. The tiniest bit of damage to that rear diffuser on Taylor's car. Marshall moves to the inside. That's not for position. And that is definitely rain down there in turn 6. Everyone is on slick tyres. There's still 6.5 minutes to go to the flag. Is it going to stay away? Is it going to get heavier? Who's going to be the bravest in these conditions? Largo's found some speed. As Clark Quinn moves past Greg Taylor's Audi. Largo tries to get the drive off the inside. Turn 7 moves past him as well, and Emery should follow suit. Oh, it's treacherous. Very tight through turn 1. Emery moves ahead of the Audi. Again, not for position. That's Taylor getting further lapped.
Greg Taylor doing a great job of being respectful, being a lap down. It's a tricky situation to be in. You want to kind of press on, but you've got to let these guys through. Doing a great job there.
Battle for second is just about ready here because Morecambe needs to get around his teammate in the Techno McLaren, which is Elliot Barber, who we ride on board with right now, and then get up to the back of the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin hasn't been the fastest car here this weekend, but through the strategy this weekend, he's managed to claw his way up to second. He's an old wily cat, Tony Quinn. Don't you worry about that.
Does make it difficult to get past. Makes himself very wide.
Sun seems to be out on the front straight. 5 minutes to go. 5 and a bit. Barber had the speed, but strategy cost them. Lost the lead lap in the pit stop sequence.
Barber here's just trying to get enough speed to get past these guys and unlap himself. If he unlaps himself, I know there's only 5 minutes to go, but if the rain does hit, you never know what can happen. He's going to have a big dive here, up the inside. Really nicely executed by Elliot Barber then. Whoa! Big oversteer moment. Even with all the stability control, traction control, the thing was loose. If I were him, I'd be dialing up the traction control in that McLaren.
And that opens up the door for Morecambe, who goes into P2. So the Aston Martin had to lift when he saw Barber get sideways. Marshall goes with him. Marshall now goes to P3. What a recovery it's been from him. Up the inside, and Canto comes from a long way back. Does the Aston Martin see him there? He had to lift and he gets turned.
He was
between
tapped.
father and son. I think he lifted because he was worried that he didn't know that Quinn had seen him, and then Quinn Jr. finished the job. Oh, all for naught. Oh, and that's got damage to the underside of the car. The floor is flapping around like a flag in the breeze. And that's going to ruin the downforce for that car for the remaining 4 minutes.
Dean's not going to be very happy about that. I'm sure there'll be words after the race as we see a replay of that turn 1 incident.
So it was an ambitious move there. He's got out of it because Tony didn't see him there. And when he's got out of it, Tony's son Clark went straight up the rear.
It was an ambitious move by Dean, but
it was on.
A bit unfair, I think, to end up where he did.
Yep. Now Clark Quinn trying to chase down Dad with damage to the front of the McLaren. Largo's Lambo looks really softly sprung. It's rolling around a lot for a Lamborghini.
They may have softened it up just a little bit for those wet conditions to start off with. That's always a tricky compromise. When it starts off wet, you know it's probably going to dry off. What do you do with the setup? Do you soften it up to make it a little bit easier in those wet conditions? The trouble is you want it to be sharp right at the end of the race. That's what's really important.
Morecambe and Marshall fighting for second. McLaughlin up the road. Largo to the inside of the Aston. Emery's going with him. Can they chase down McLaughlin for the lead? Are they too far back? 57.6 from McLaughlin this time, and 57.6 from the guys chasing him. His 4.5 second lead is going to be enough here. Hang on, Steve. With all of the big names chasing him, this will be a huge drive. Who would have thought that he was in a lot of trouble on that restart, but the lap cars helped him. And so did that epic battle for second and third for a few laps that happened back there. Here he is. Jamak Pem team. All the focus was on car 1 at the start, but it was his teammate who was taken to this race through the pit stops. Under brakes down at...
Oh, that was a long way back from Marshall. He pulled it up a little bit shy then. Marcus is going to be thinking about the championship here as well. You know, he could try and pull off a desperate or brave move, but he's leading the championship at the moment with Honduras.
For Morecambe, he is third in the championship, just behind Clark Quinn. So these are important points for him to try and close up to Marshall, but Marshall right in behind him. Isn't going to go hemorrhaging too many points there, or he could just pass him and extend that championship lead. What a huge drive that'll be.
Realistically, they're not going to be able to catch Steve McLaughlin at the moment. He's got a 4.5 second lead. There's probably only probably 1 or 2 laps left in this race. Just over 1 minute remaining. Saying that, Marcus is a racer. Seen him pushing hard all the way through this race, including that huge moment at turn 5. Great recovery.
I know it's a coulda, shoulda, woulda, but he would have had a better starting position for the restart had he not had the spin, and maybe could have caught up to the back of the Jamek Pemaudi, but it was less than a minute to go. This will either be the last lap or the next one will be the last, but either way, he's looking pretty good here. He's got 2 lap cars in between himself and second. Now, will Elliot Barber help his team out here? There's a lap down in the first of the McLarens on the road here. And we are hearing that this will be the last lap now. There it is, confirmation on screen. Wow. What a day it's been for the Jamek Pem team. They thought they were absolutely in for the win with one car and ended up being the other one. That found its way to the front. This battle for second still on. Not there. Morecambe just puts that car in an awkward spot. Clark Quinn now wants a piece of the action. Second, third and fourth will be on down at the bottom of the hill, but it's all about car 2. Steve McLaughlin, the Jamek Pem team, are going to claim another win. Marco Bononomi started in car number 1 and led it beautifully through the first half, but after the pit stops happened, it was this guy got the job done, and oh, there's the change. No, he hangs on, Morecambe. He hangs on to second. Good race to the stripe. Wow, what do you make of all that, Carl? That was exciting.
I think we just missed something right at the end there. That final corner, I reckon Morecambe probably went to the inside. Marcus has tried to go around the outside there, and there was a bit of contact, so there might be a little bit more to that, but let's focus on Steve McLaughlin there. What a fantastic drive by them.
This Melbourne Performance Centre outfit is a pro combination, and this is the move, exactly like you suggested.
Around the outside. And Morecambe has gassed it up and just forced Marcus Marshall wide of that ripple strip on the exit. Not much of contact, but you should really give a bit of racing room on the exit there. If they've got enough pace to go around the outside, saying that last lap, last corner, you're going to throw the kitchen sink at it.
Good analogy, and that is how they'll wind up McLaughlin. What a great win. Holds on from Nathan Morecambe, so solo drivers getting the job done. Honduras and Marshall, the championship leaders, still looking good for the top 3. Clark Quinn, he was busy there, wasn't he? And Tony Quinn fell all the way back to 8th, which is strange. So something's happened there in the Aston Martin amidst all the drama. Baird and Taylor, they were early leaders as well. They fell back to 11th after the pit stop sequence. And it's a bad day for the Beamers, 19th and 20th.